talk about the importance of that game for Stacy, just getting him going and what he was able to do in the run game Saturday?
It was important for everybody on Saturday. Now you limit it to Stacy. No, in all seriousness, it was important for everybody. That was a big game for us. It's hard to win on the road. We've been fairly successful on the road, but going there is pretty awesome. That's a pretty special place up there, and so that you don't beat those guys up there like that very often. So I was proud of our whole team. Now, to answer your question, you're not supposed to be able to run the ball against Navy, right? And we averaged, I think, 5.5 yards a carry. Offensive line-wise, starts up front. I'm critical of those guys when it doesn't look good. I'm going to pat them on the back when it does. And we improved our pad level, and we blocked better. We blocked good, So tight ends included. Christian's Christian, and then Matt Burns had his best game that he's had since he's been here. Toon did a good job with run checks, and then Stacy looked like a real running back. He got yards that weren't there. Probably for the first time all year, in 7 games or whatever, we got yards that weren't there. So very happy with Stacy's performance. He's been battling a shoulder. He played physical, did a good job in pass protection, and got hard yards, that weren't there. So good for him, man.
You've said you always need 4 backs, maybe even more in a season. You lose your top one, then Tayshawn's out. You're essentially going with 2 guys right now. Has that been a struggle, and is it a matter of getting Keelan some opportunities or get him going in practice, or are you pretty content right now on the 2 guys that you have? That's sort of the way it's going to be for the rest of the year, unless you get Tayshawn.
We'll get Tayson back. Maybe this week, potentially this week, but we'll get him back. Keelan's been pretty solid for us around here. He got in, several snaps last week. Has a role. What Keelan is what Keelan is. He's a bigger, more reliable guy that can do different things. He's a good special teams player. He's a great teammate. He's available, and we feel good with getting him back there. He's not going to be able to go in and do what Stacy Sneed did. We know who he is. Brandon Campbell is fighting through some things and can't put it on the ground like he did. That just can't happen. But he's a guy that we know we can count on. He needs to get back to where he's playing 100% like he did earlier in the year. So you're always going to play 4. When it's Tayson and Brandon and Stacy and and Keelan, there's your 4 guys that will play who's available to play.
Dana, Donovan Mutin last week talked about how big that win against Memphis was for the defense in terms of confidence and being able to kind of show that they are the team they thought they were coming into the season. I'm curious if, from a confidence standpoint, what you've seen from not just the defense but your team overall since that game against Memphis, because you guys were able to follow it up with a really strong performance against Navy.
It clearly put us in a better spot. And we clearly capitalized on it. From a bye week perspective, we practiced hard. I don't know if we would have been able to do what we did against Navy if it wasn't for the extra prep time. We were well prepared. I give our coaches a bunch of credit. Offensively, defensively, in the kicking game, our game plan was good. I don't know if we could have got that done in a week. I just don't. So. We got to face the same thing this week with South Florida coming in on a bye week when they're kind of shuffling some things up, much like we have had to. They got a bunch of injuries, but how many of those guys are they going to be able to get back, and what are they going to do offensively? How are they going to adjust? We don't know, and we're going to have to figure that out. But we used it to our advantage. I'm sure South Florida used it to their advantage. On the topic of defense, we played great. Other than 3 critical errors, which, was the result in 2 touchdowns, a Hail Mary, a busted assignment on 1 long pass, and then, an explosive dive play. We played great on defense, and that's largely due to Donnie Mutin, Captain Donnie, who had career day. I'm disappointed he's not the American Conference Defensive Player of the Week. I thought he was deserving of that. Obviously, could have been ours. But he's played against Navy 4 times and takes that very seriously. He's a very disciplined young man that understands how to defend that. Very proud of him. He was flying around, making play after play after play. Happy for him, proud of him. He's able to do some of that because of Dot in front of him. Our D line played good, disruptive, couldn't block him. Elias Bell played the best game he's played since he's been here. Jamar Caldwell, Jamichael Neal, Caesar, once again, same thing. So, played good up front, which lets those backers run and hit. But Dot's just different. I mean, he does a thankless job, takes on double teams. He actually split the double team a couple of times and made a play. It's not easy to do. He's able to do it. So that's why he was our player of the game, but just really proud of how we played defensively. And played a lot of guys, too. We're 8 deep on the D-line that played. We were 3 deep at linebacker. Played more linebackers, obviously, but, you got Traylon Payne in there a little bit to play, and, Jalen Gardner got to get in there and play a little bit. So it was fun to see those guys go in and play.
Dana, you touched on it a little just with South Florida. Obviously, there's a lot of unknowns with injuries and stuff, but just overall, some of the challenges they present. Obviously, the record's not there, but they've played some teams pretty good, and could be a lot different story for them.
Yeah, they've played a hard schedule now. I mean, you look at this schedule right here. I mean, BYU, Florida, Louisville. I mean, I thought our non-conference was hard. I mean, they played tough games, and then you look in conference, they've played East Carolina, Cincinnati, Tulane. I mean, those guys are all at the top of the conference. So their schedule's been tough. We won't take these guys lightly. I mean, we had our hands full with them last year. They're a very talented group. They got a lot of good players. It's pretty much the same team that we faced last year. I don't pay attention a whole lot to what the injury thing is. Clearly we deal with it too. Everybody deals with it. So just line up and get ready to play. But they've had a hard schedule and a hard road. They at Florida should have won, lost by 3. At Cincinnati could have won, lost by 4. That's all you need to know. These guys, they're scoring points on offense. I know their quarterback situation's tough. That stinks. I mean, it's hard to overcome a quarterback's getting hurt and stuff like that. But we're familiar with the guy that they got lined up. I don't know anything about these freshmen. If they're going to go with one, I don't know. We got to be able to figure it out. They got, they're good up front with a lot of returning guys, and then they got as good a skill as we've seen so far yet. So a lot of speed, a lot of skill. We got all we want here this weekend.
Dana, whether it's on the plane ride home or locker room, do you get a sense, maybe the pulse, how maybe it's changed the last couple of weeks with these 2 wins? Maybe, you're battling through injuries and stuff, but at the same time, you're pulling out some big wins to the guys. You getting what you want to see out of it in terms of maybe the reaction that, hey, this isn't over, this is a long way to go, we're still in this thing?
Oh, yeah. We've been in some bad spots because of some close losses, but I never felt like we lost the team or the the pulse wasn't there, the work ethic wasn't there, the practices weren't there. I haven't felt that. I just think we got really good character on this team and kept fighting, and a lot of fight, right? So all those early season games, wins, morale was high. Losses, we were disappointed, but not down to the point to where we could practice and prepare the right way to go out and compete, which we've done every game. A couple of disappointing losses, but it wasn't because we weren't competing. Just ball didn't bounce our way or whatever you want to say. It doesn't matter. Everybody's got their own opinion. I've been proud of our team with the fight that we've shown. It allowed us to come back against Memphis and win. And Memphis is a good football team. But they're going through it right now too with close losses and stuff. But that's the conference and that's college football. You deal with it, and our team has dealt with it. And happy playing right home after Memphis. I couldn't quit giggling. It was a good feeling to be able to do that, and we used it to our advantage. And we had confidence going to Navy and playing well. And we did. We had confidence. We went up there and we played well. You know, been having to answer questions about starting fast forever. You know, we did that, you know, and so that's improvement. Still haven't played a complete game, but I was happy with what the progress is, and I think our morale's good. We're in a good spot, and we're excited about playing again here this Saturday.
If I could just go back something you said post game just about Sam Brown and just getting him involved. And Clayton said it's sort of a Keyshawn situation in terms of, hey, you might not be getting a lot of targets early on, just hang in there. Is it started in practice, or where did he sort of maybe take that next step to where he's really factored in the last couple of weeks?
It kind of started in Tulane. Honestly, you know, he made some plays in that Tulane game. He really hadn't up until that point. Early, the speed of the game wasn't there. I didn't like what I saw, so he didn't play very much. Challenged him, took him a couple of weeks, and then that Tulane game, he started making a couple of plays, gave him some confidence, and then Memphis, you know, he put it all together, you know, and caught 10 balls or whatever. I told him he could have been the player of the game then. Just hang in there. The bye week, you know, we sat Tank down the majority of the week because he was beat up. But him and Keyshawn had a great off week or bye week. And then last week they practiced good and got him in the game. Both those kids elevated their game. Both Keyshawn and Sam have elevated their game over the last couple of weeks, and it showed. It showed in the game. We challenged them from a blocking perspective. Our perimeter blocking was as good as it's been since I've been here. So we're trying to figure out who the player of the game is. I mean, clearly you could give it to the quarterback who just runs everything. You know, Tank gets targeted 10 times every game. Stacy made some things happen. But based on Sam's physical blocking ability on the perimeter, that's what we've been missing around here for a long time. And he brings that, and then, you know, a couple of the catches in the back of the end zone were pretty special as well. So happy with his progression. We got to keep them all going.
Dana, I know after the Navy game, you touched on just how you're proud how the O-line's progressed, especially penalty-wise. Can you just talk about overall how you feel the group's gelling after, you know, having to shuffle a lot of things early on in the season?
Yeah, don't underestimate the fact that 2 of our starters joined our team in June. So, I mean, that continuity thing is tough to come by. Cody Russi was different because he had played so much football and was incredibly intelligent. You plug him in there, you know, and he kind of helps, you know, and we had the same lineup for 14 straight weeks last year. You know, that's pretty good. But you bring in, you know, Lance and Tyler, who physically are really good. They're physically pretty good. Doesn't mean that it's going to look good or be great initially. You know, without, you know, these guys playing together, it's going to be tough. So it's just been a work in progress, you know. And everybody kind of knows how I am. If it looks bad, I'm going to say it looks bad. If it looks good, I'm going to say it looks good. Those guys are improving, you know, and it's not for lack of effort or, you know, coaching ability or want to or any of that. Some of that stuff up front just takes time. That's a hard position to play, and you got to play as one a lot, and that takes time, and we're getting there.
Dana,
Still not there, but we're getting there.
Dana, you talked about Dot and his impact earlier. One of the other players that has really, you know, started to make a lot of plays in the last few games is Chase Rogers. Obviously, he had the kickoff against Memphis. He had the interception this past week. Can you just talk about the growth you've seen from him since the start of the season to now?
Yeah, he's really doing a good job for us. Is very vocal, is very emotional. The thing I'm most proud with Jace is his maturity has been extremely good. You know, like I said, he's an emotional guy that says what's on his mind, but he loves football, and he's always practiced his tail off, and has continued to get better and better and better. You know, we've had him at nickel for the last couple of years, and, you know, based on the need at corner, you know, we put him at the boundary corner, and which Pepe's been that boundary corner against Navy the last 2 years. You got to make plays. You got to make tackles. He made, I think, 5 solo tackles out there. His ball skills are great, so, getting picks and making something happen is, something that I know he's been able to do. I recruited him out of high school. He was committed to us up at WVU and followed him when he was in JUCO. His ball security needs to continue to be something that we focus on because our ball security is terrible. It's the worst ball security thing that I've seen since I've been here. So he's got to continue to focus on that. He was misaligned at kickoff return. Part of that's coaching, part of that's inexperience with him back there. Misaligned, they had a great adjustment, and that kid made a great kick. And Jace tried to get there, and it's too reckless. You can't be reckless like that. So he's playing good defensively. He's one of our leaders on the team. I'm proud of his maturity. He's on track to graduate. There's a lot of good positive stuff happening with Jace right now, and he needs to continue to stay on track.
Dana, last year, obviously, special teams was huge, and now you've gotten, the kick return last week, the block kick by Caesar this week. Do you feel like it's continuing to trend in that right direction, especially in Kyle, stepping in?
Yes. We've played good on special teams a lot around here, so happy with that. Really challenged our punt, our punt return, our field goal team, and our block team. We challenged those guys last week. All that was good. The block on the field goal was good. It affected the next time they kicked a field goal. That happened 2 years ago, too. Logan Hall blocked one, and then they missed like two more. So that happened again, and that was kind of our plan going in. We were perfect with Kyle. He stepped in there and is doing a really good job for us. Punt team, we only had one opportunity on each of them, but they both looked great. Kickoff return's got to get better. KOR it has been good, but we didn't do anything this past game. And then kickoff team is just way too sporadic. We're either kicking it through the back of the end zone, or we're kicking it out of bounds, or we're kicking it on the ground. That's got to improve. And our coverage has got to improve too. We took a step in the right direction. Traylon Payne made a couple of plays, which young kid that's coming on right now, Hassan Hiplight, is pretty much unblockable on punt and kickoff, so that's good. But this bunch that we're about to play, now we all know what happened last year. They returned 2 kicks for a touchdown. So if you think that we're gonna not obsess over kickoff, we're gonna obsess over kickoff. And we got to get that fixed because these guys, it's not just the batty kid, the Horn kid back there has a 89-yarder for a touchdown this year too. So 2 dudes back there that are dangerous, and we've got to fix kickoff. But happy with special teams. That's a weekly conversation.
You got any USF Perry Olsen types that you can rely on this week?
No, but. I think that moved the needle for us, having him. Obviously he was our scout team player of the week, but big moment for him. He was like, wow, this is pretty surreal. I was hoping he wasn't going to be wide-eyed or anything there, which he played a couple of snaps on special teams, which was good, but, kept his composure, and big moment for him to go back there to win. But having him help us prepare for those guys was big. I think that played a big role in us being very prepared with a good game plan.
Speaking of young, well, he's not young, but Matt Burns, was it a matter of, you've used 2 tight ends and, this year, but just getting him in there, opportunities, moments, situations?
Last year there's games where we were about 50%, 12 personnel with Christian and Seth. We like that package. We're trending in that direction with Matt. Matt is just now coming into his own. Extremely happy to have him. He's got a bright future. He was a 6'4", 200-pound wideout out of high school. Went JUCO and started getting into the tight end world. We took him knowing it was developmental, and I couldn't be happier with why we took him and where he's at now. He's coming off, he played probably about 50 snaps, I think 35 on offense and, probably about 12 on special teams. So he's coming. Logan Compton's coming. So he's got a little bit of a role right there in as a tight end in special teams as well. So, Christian, we rely on him so much. There's only one of them, but we got to get other guys ready to go, and both those guys are playing good, especially Matt. I mean, Matt blocked really well. We knew he could catch the ball and run routes. Kind of still trying to figure out his, I got to gain weight and hold my own, but I also want to be able to run and catch, so he's now coming into his own. We're going to be talking about Matt Burns a lot over the next few years.
You got any World Series moments at your old place? That was close to. Was that Pirates country? Or?
It was. I never went to a Pirates game. If I had time to do something like that, I'd go to Pittsburgh and get on an airplane, fly to Houston, and go to an Astros game. I bet you I've been to about 200 Astros games. I mean, I watch it all the time. I really wanted to go home and go to bed early last night, but you get there and you start watching the game and stuff, and you're like, I'm going to finish this thing out. Heck of a game, fun to watch. Looking forward to the World Series. Never been to one. I've been to a playoff game here, but never been to a World Series.
Yeah, schedule doesn't line up for you.
Nah, I'll find time to watch it a little bit.
Thanks so much.
All good. Thank y'all.